Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to look at the latest on Storm Daras. We have now got a red danger for life warning issued for some western regions. It is going to be most severe along those Irish Sea coasts, where winds will likely be widely around the 70 to 80 mile per hour point, and gusts could get up to 90 or even 100 miles per hour. And I didn't think a red warning was possible a couple of days ago, but it has really ramped up this system, and those winds, those severe winds, will be arriving in the coming hours. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, which you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. Now we'll start the video by looking at the live radar, see what's going on right at this moment. Then we'll have a look at the Met Office warnings, looking at that red warning, and then have a look at some of the shorter range charts as well. We're not going to have a look at the longer range today, because I do want to focus on the immediate effects of Storm Darragh, but tomorrow and into Sunday as well, we'll look at some of those longer range charts in a bit more detail as well for the lead up to Christmas. But if we do start on the live radar, you can actually see at the moment the main weather front is actually moving through, and we are seeing heavy rain in many northern and eastern areas, and that will be a feature of this system. We do have yellow warnings issued, but I must emphasise the main effects from this storm will be the strong winds, the large waves, and the subsequent damage and disruption from that. We are still, as I said, expecting lots of rain, but sometimes these big name storms can be huge rainfall events. We're not expecting this to be a huge rainfall event. Still, an inch or two of rain is quite possible in quite a few locations, but we're not looking at 5, 6, 7, 8 inches that we can see sometimes from these systems. At the moment, the heaviest rain is in the north, and we have got some snow over the higher ground of Scotland. Some more moderate hills at the moment, but it will transition to further higher routes as we do start to see the milder sector moving in. We have had a lot of cold air in over the past few days, frost in places, and generally a chilly feel, and that is contributing not only to the severity of the system, but to this snow. Further southwards, we've got bands of heavy rain moving through at the moment. The warm front is moving through, and as I said, it will continue to remain fairly gusty over the coming hours. Now, recording this around 9 p.m, and we are expecting the winds to really pick up around the 2 or 3 a.m. point. So about 5 or 6 hours from this current scene, we are expecting the strongest winds to be on the western and southern flank of the system. So where this hook is across Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, this is where we're expecting those strongest winds, and they are really ramping up at the moment for Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, and they will reach their kind of peak through the Irish Sea into parts of Wales, northwest England, into southwest England as well, and that is where we do have that red warning. We'll be able to illustrate it a lot better on some of those short range charts in a minute, especially the Arome one. We've got a really nice chart there at the end of the video which does illustrate these stronger winds quite well. We are expecting winds elsewhere. Not only are we got a red warning, but we've got a widespread amber warning and pretty much a yellow warning covering all of England, Wales, much of Scotland, and of course an amber warning for the whole of Northern Ireland. So we are going to see stronger winds elsewhere. It's not just those Irish Sea coasts, but that's where we're going to see the most severe impacts. Temperatures at the moment are still very cold in the north. You can see where the milder sector is moving in at the moment, and as I said, it is this clash of air masses which is really fueling the system at the moment. If we do also just put on the latest wind speeds, these are not the gusts. We are looking at 90, potentially 100 mile per hour gusts. These are the sustained wind speeds, and you can already see the south of Ireland are really seeing those winds picking up, kind of 50, 60 mile per hour sustained winds here, and this will transition further eastwards. It's already gusty, pretty widespread at the moment, but it's only going to pick up, and for areas especially eastwards, the peak of this storm will likely be during Saturday afternoon, so it's still quite a fair way off as the system does move eastwards. So if we do now have a look at those latest warnings, I do just want to update the most severe warnings and the new warnings, because we have got a whole array of warnings. It'll take probably an hour to go through all of them in detail. Now, at the moment, we've got widespread yellow wind warnings, and we've got some larger rain warnings for parts of Scotland and for Wales as well, and a rain warning for Northern Ireland. But those have all been enforced for a number of days. The new warning is this snow warning. As expected, we are seeing some heavy snow over some of the higher ground, and this is exactly where we've got that snow falling from the live radar at the moment. We're expecting potentially 2 to 5 centimetres, around 2 to 300 metres, with maybe 10 to 20 centimetres above 400 metres. So quite a lot of snow, But these are moderate hills for the lower amounts, and of course mountainous areas for those higher amounts. So for the majority, we won't be seeing too much in the way of snow, and you can see it will likely turn to rain or sleet into Saturday morning. Now if you move into Saturday, this is where we've got the whole array of warnings. We'll really focus on the amber warnings here, because of course we've looked at all of these yellow warnings over the past few days. There's been a few updates, locations, etc. So do check these out for your area. But I do, of course, with the number of warnings here, just want to focus on those most severe warnings. So do start on the amber warning for wind here for Northern Ireland. And this, if we look at all the regions, it extends all the way into Wales as well. So it's a blanket amber warning for Northern Ireland, southwest Scotland, northwest England, through much of Wales, and pretty much all of southwest England. Again, it's the same warning we looked at yesterday, but it has been updated, and you see the impact level has been changed to a low likelihood of high impacts, with the start time brought forward to 1 a.m, and it has been extended further eastwards into more of South Wales, southwest England, and northwest England. We're looking at 70 to 80 miles per hour, likely around exposed coasts, and maybe 60 to 70 miles per hour further inland, and the strongest winds will ease during the afternoon. So again, severe winds, again, it was going to be very up and down, very difficult to predict exactly what we'll see, but these are the most prone areas, and it's because that wind is coming in off the north, off the Irish Sea. We have got this small amber warning issued here down for the Brecon Beacons. Again, we're looking at 20 to 30 millimetres in only a few hours, maybe getting up towards 100 millimetres. So those really high amounts in a small mountainous area. But I must emphasise, for most, we're not expecting too much in the way of rain. There will still be flooding. It's inevitable with these sort of conditions. There'll be blocked drains, things like that can cause localised flooding. But we're not expecting, a massive expanse of, 100 to 200 millimetres for all areas. The wind is the main impact from this system. And following on to that, we have got the red warning for winds here for pretty much the whole west coast of Wales, extending into southwest England as well. Of course, really hitting major population areas like Cardiff, extending into Bristol and Swansea. If you do look at this warning, you can see that it is from 3 a.m. until 11 a.m. So really looking at the morning tomorrow. For the red warning, we are looking at gusts of up to 90 miles per hour, maybe slightly higher. And I do think there is possible for 100 miles per hour, but probably more likely out to sea or right at the sort of tip of a headland or something. That is definitely possible. We'll have to wait and see. And you see the amber warning is still in force all the way through to the evening. This expires at 9 p.m. So yes, the red warning expires in the morning, but still amber warning level all the way through to the evening. You can see it is high likelihood, high impact. Again, danger to life from flying debris, and of course all the subsequent impact from wind as well. So yeah, really dangerous conditions. If you are in these regions, make sure you do stay safe, have contingency plans, and of course do follow the advice and the warnings from emergency services and of course relevant authorities, as they of course will have plans in place and we'll be able to see what is happening. Wind is very difficult to predict. It's not like rain where we can look at the live radar and see exactly what's happening. A severe gust of wind can come on very, very quickly with no notice, and that makes it even more dangerous. And of course, sometimes we can kind of predict sting jets and things like that, where we're expecting very strong winds. But in this sort of circumstance, we have just got the models to rely on, and all of them are showing severe winds. So please do stay safe there and heed those warnings. Now into Sunday, we still have widespread wind warnings issued, but they mostly expire during the morning here, 6 a.m. on Sunday. So expecting Sunday to potentially still see some rain in the east and the far south and be a bit gusty, but it should mostly ease off. Now, if you look at the latest UKV now, you can see the system is moving through at the moment, and as you can see, heavy rain in the north, and there'll be further heavy rain coming on the back edge of the system through the early hours of the morning. It's this hook round the back of the system. This is where we're expecting the most severe conditions. So even though the main weather fronts and the main area of cloud has arrived for Storm Darragh, we have got the strongest and most severe conditions within this hook on the back side of the system. As that slowly clears during the afternoon, it will transition those winds stronger and stronger further eastwards. It is still looking very severe inland, and of course, with the higher levels of friction because of undulating ground, not got the flat seas. It means that those winds are always not quite as strong as out to sea, and that's why we haven't got red or amber warnings extending further eastwards. I do think there is the possibility of an amber warning maybe further eastwards, but at the moment yellow warnings there. Definitely does look like there could be another area of peak winds through the evening tomorrow across the North Sea as the system pulls away. So again, that's another area of interest for potentially another amber warning for the morning. You can see though into Sunday, the system does take its time to fully clear, still remains blustery with some heavy showers coming in off the North Sea as we do go into an easterly wind by Sunday and into the start of next week as we do see chilly higher pressure taking over. So fortunately for the sort of 3 or 4 days following a storm Darragh, it is going to be pretty much bone dry for quite a few areas, maybe a little bit wetter through Sunday in the southeast, but most areas will be turning drier and will be a little bit brighter. You can see the reason for the intensity of this system is the massive temperature contrast we do have. Upper air temperatures contrasting by a good 10 to 12 degrees, and you can see the hook within the system, eventually cold air, returning for all by the end of the weekend, and it remains fairly chilly into next week under higher pressure. Now, if you look at those wind gusts, you can see very strong winds are coming in at the moment, and as I'm recording this, we have got strong winds, but the strongest winds are to the west of Ireland and coming into parts of the Republic of Ireland at the moment. It's as that area moves into the Irish Sea, this purple region of widespread 70 to 80, maybe up to 90 or even 100 through the early hours of the morning. That is the reason why we have got that red warning issued. You can see through the afternoon, those very strong winds do transfer inland, but as I said, they're not as strong and more likely to be around the 60 to 70 miles per hour. And then all eyes and potentially a little pick up there for the North Sea we need to keep an eye on. We'll have a look at the Arome in a minute. It's a little bit more on board with that. Again, could be another amber warning. But you see, it does remain blustery all the way through to Sunday and slowly dies away. So it's no other sort of system where it's very, very strong winds for a few hours and then clears. This is very strong winds over the course of 24 hours or so, with, of course, sort of a 6 to 9 hour peak transitioning westwards to eastwards, and you see eventually dying off and coming much more settled into next week, only single digit gusts by Wednesday. But if we just go back, you can see those exceptionally strong winds peaking around that sort of 4 to 9 a.m. point for those Irish Sea coasts. Again, we're expecting 80 to 90 miles per hour on coastal areas, and out to sea maybe up to 100, and then further inland expecting 60 to 70, maybe up to 80 for exposed areas. Also, it's going to be very cold tomorrow. If you look at the temperatures through tomorrow afternoon, hardly getting above 4 to 7 degrees. So not only will there be lots of rain, not only will there be exceptionally strong winds, but it will be freezing cold for the temperatures. The wind chill out there will make it feel like freezing or below freezing. So it is, as I said, not only going to see those normal severe impacts from an aimed storm, but we're going to be very cold as well with those surface temperatures low to mid single digits at best. And then if we run through the subsequent days, you can see it does go a lot chillier into early next week with lots of frosts in the north, potentially risk of ice in those areas as we see an inversion take place under the higher pressure. Now, just one finish on the Arome run. It's very similar to the UKV, but it just illustrates in a slightly different fashion on WX charts here that emphasises those strong winds even better. Now, this only unfortunately covers southern areas because it is a French model, so it doesn't quite extend to the far north of Northern Ireland and Scotland. But you can see those very strong winds arriving overnight tonight, and it's these darker grey areas. That is where the severe winds will be. See on the bottom right here, we've got a max, and that is the max winds that are on this chart at the moment. So within this frame, those are the max winds. And 160 kilometers per hour is roughly 100 miles per hour. And you see through the early hours of the morning, we do just about get to 160, maybe 170. So the risk is there of potentially somewhere exposed getting 100, maybe 110 miles per hour. But the Arome here really, again, having those peak winds in those western areas around that 3 to 7 a.m. point. And you can see very strong winds transfer eastwards as well. We're looking at potentially 60, 70 mile per hour gusts. You can see that on there. These lighter pinks are sort of those 60, 70 mile per hour points. even quite far inland. And you see through tomorrow evening, potentially another pulse of exceptionally strong winds there for parts of the North Sea coast into East Anglia. So that's something to keep an eye on. Could be an amber warning issued here. But you can see the winds are, of course, peaking during the morning, but they're relentless through the afternoon. So yeah, really is not looking great. And if we do also put on the radar reflectivity, you can see the heavy rain moving through at the moment, and then lots of heavy squally showers. You can see those lines of rain. That's heavy squalls moving in on the very strong winds, and it does persist into the east all the way through to Sunday. So really severe impacts coming up over the coming hours, especially in those western regions. Again, another reason why I think a red warning's been issued is because of the, not only the strength, but the direction of the wind. It's a northwesterly to northerly, which is an unusual wind direction for these sort of wind speeds, similar to Storm Arome that we saw in 2021, which again did see, I think it did see a red warning. Again, it didn't see record-breaking wind gusts, but it was because it came in from the north. It brought severe winds from a wind direction. Many trees and plants and sort of buildings and agriculture hadn't sort of planned for. You know, the world and the nature adapts to the prevailing wind, which is from the southwest to west. Of course, it can withstand winds from other directions, but the most severe winds normally come from the west-southwest. When the winds come from a slightly different direction, from the north or the northwest in this case, it can exacerbate those impacts. Certain areas that are sheltered from a westerly flow will not be sheltered in this case. So we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens tomorrow, but at the moment, it does look like it's going to be really quite horrible in those western areas. So please do stay safe and follow, of course, the relevant warnings. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.